So I'm a third generation member in the business. My parents came out to South Africa in 1983, and that was on the back of my grandfather basically sending them. My grandfather had 6 children and each child was sent somewhere in the world, so that's how we ended up in the base of Africa. The idea back there was to supply the biggest group, which was Belgotex. So we set up a raw material plant, and the idea was to make yarns to supply into that big conglomerate. Things didn't go according to plan, and they chose not to buy the raw materials from us, and so we started processing those raw materials ourselves. And back then in the 80s, carpet was booming. It really was kind of the only flooring choice available, but we made flooring affordable, carpeting especially affordable to the masses.
Quite drastically over the last 2 years, I would say, a complete change in leadership. The most significant change of leadership at Belgotex was Stefan Colle handing over the baton to Edward, and that marked the change in the tide, I would call it that, at Belgotex. We have authentic leadership. We look up to that. I think we underestimate also the privilege of being agile, having that small team where decisions can be made just around having a cup of coffee and we're good to go.
That's a lot of the success of the business, that you're giving responsibility to your team rather than 1 or 2 people saying, this is what we're doing, this is our strategy, and this is how it's going to happen.
I would say the biggest change in leadership has been having the courage, in a way, and I use that word courage in our context, to put HR on the board. The time and effort put into that aspect of the intentional decisions we made will really pay dividends in 2-3 years' time, and I'm super excited about that.
We have amazing people who work here. We have people who are in love with the Belgotex story. We have people that subscribe to the family ethos of the business, and corporate becomes almost a swear word here. We have the unusual case of extremely long-serving employees because they love to be here. And I think that's an amazing place from which to work and build.
This business means so much. The people mean so much. It's what I was brainwashed with as a kid growing up. Your people are your greatest asset, there's no doubt about it. It's the old cliche, but at the same time, your greatest asset can become your greatest liability at the flick of a switch. You really need to grow people for the sake of growing people, and the business benefits through it. Every day we get to speak to our 700 employees. We get to be part of their lives. That to me is an incredible opportunity.
It's not people at the boardroom table working for a paycheck at the end of the month, but it's people who really care about whether this company exists in 30 years from now. And also the opportunity to be able to be part of an organization that allows you to be curious. That's hugely important in the development of our people. That means that you get like-minded people, or people that are continuously challenging, turning stones over, that type of thing, and that's exactly what we want.
It's where innovation starts, curiosity.
Everything we do in the context of our new DNA speaks to putting our people first. And that really has made all of the difference.
The business of the future is real deep partnerships. You become so dispensable. There's always going to be someone else making the product you make. Without a healthy distribution channel, it doesn't matter how great your product is. Everyone's offering the same service, 24-hour delivery. Everyone's making good product. You're not in business if you're not making good product. So relationships are critical, because once you have them in place and you maintain them and respect them, you can really hold on to them. I'm not that emotionally attached to the product we make. Whether we're making and selling carpets or vinyls or windows or roof tiles, that's not what gets me going. It's the fact that we can interact with more than 1,000 people a day in a meaningful way. That's cool. I think that's powerful. We are in their homes. We are in their bedroom. That is, I'm not sure how more personal you want it to get.
In the early days, your dad and his visibility, not just to us as employees or fellow workers, but to the trade. They love seeing him. He loves seeing customers. I think when he goes to Brazil, wherever he goes, it's a day in the factory and 4 days with customers type thing. People around the industry talk about him, and I think that was the early days. Part of Belgotex brand.
How do we meet their expectations, as a supplier? And how do they meet our expectations as a representation of our brand? I think that becomes critical and more important going forward than it may have been previously. I really believe this business has the ability to influence and impact thousands of people's lives on a daily basis without us even knowing it. So what is our new brand DNA? For me, it's the epitome of future-proofing this organization and sustainability at the heart of things. Certain decisions we may have made in the past were purely economical or purely environmental, where now you're trying to make decisions that are a blend of a few, which means there may be a short-term loss for a medium or long-term gain. I think things have really kind of accelerated in the last 5 to 10 years in terms of the product that is in high demand from consumers. We can't just keep going as is. People have got options. They've got Google. They're going to find something else. Yeah. Unless you offer it, you're not on top of the list anymore. So that's a fascinating thing globally. That's not just South Africa.
But it's the nature. It's what's happened in the industry, and the pace is just going quicker and quicker and quicker. So it's going to be a hell of a ride, I think.
The challenges create the successes. Without the challenge, there's no need to reinvent or be courageous. I think the challenges are beautiful, not at the time, but when you get through them, they're incredible. They extend your lifespan. They give you opportunity. They create new conversations. A big challenge, I would say, is the shift in the market. Something as simple as the house used to be designed in a certain way. The lounge was separate to the kitchen, where now the lounge and kitchen is the living space, the center of the home. Which means we've fundamentally lost an entire chunk of the house as a flooring manufacturer. Through those challenges, we've seen great success with artificial turf, for example, with vinyl products. Those challenges have created their own successes due to a great management team and a great committed workforce. The business has been healthy for 30 odd years. Through that, it allows you to reinvest. We're kind of making decisions for tomorrow. My word would be beautiful, and that may sound a bit cheesy, but I think it's beautiful that we are able to use this platform that's been built for us for something way more significant than what we see today.
Another word I'm thinking of, and it comes to mind quite often, and it might not be a good description of brand, but I think it's in there, and it's that word courage. And for me, I've seen it through the years here. The decisions that have been made, what we're trying to do with the brand, for me, there's a lot of courage in that Belgotex name, going back from when your family first came out here and going forward with what we hope to do with the brand.
The word that comes to mind is inspire. Inspire in terms of being a verb, because it's an action. And I think we're deliberate in the way that we inspire people, because we want people to feel like they are part of something great, part of something beautiful, and part of somewhere where they see themselves in the future.